This is 2316 Phase 3 presented by Haden, Churchwell, and Hampton, Chappell. The purpose of our project was to explore how different variables relative to each team contribute to offensive production in the NFL, specifically in 2023. Our data sets aim to compare over 35 unique attributes across the 32 teams in the NFL to highlight the determinants and deterrents of a successful modern offense. We took interest in this topic due to our passion for the NFL and cheering on our favorite team. Why did we choose our data? We chose our data sets to focus on NFL offenses, encompassing tens of variables that are all tied to offensive success within the NFL. However, offensive success in football can be attributed to many things, which prompted us to include a data set that captures several metrics. Additionally, to broaden our analysis and offer fresh insights, we compared our offensive data with seemingly unrelated government data sourced from different cities. From this miscellaneous data set, we handpicked variables we thought were intriguing and potentially impactful on NFL offense, ranging from blood pressure to alcohol consumption. To make our analysis on this topic, we are passionate about truly. Our expectations / hypothesis. Our expectations going in were that there would be heavy correlations between certain stats, where others might not be so relevant. We expected metrics such as total plays and penalties to be very impactful, both positively and negatively, respectively, where for less directly correlated data, we are not as confident. This data, such as the percentages of binge drinkers and high blood pressure in NFL cities, is what made this project unique and interesting for us both. We were unsure if there would be any correlation of these variables, which made us eager to find out. The data collection process. For our first data set, we aimed to obtain a unique list of variables that we could manipulate to track data across the entire season. The Excel file we found contained over 30 columns and 40,000 rows of data for us to use, filled with information on every play from the 2023. Our second data set, we wanted to determine exactly how much money each team had available to spend on their team. This website contained the cap information as well as the average of players on each NFL roster. For our third data set, we needed a measure for team success. So we chose a data set that reflects each team's total stats across the entire season, such as points and yards. We use these variables to define offensive. And for our final data set, we wanted data that was not directly related to the NFL specifically, but that might affect the team's offense. That's why we used information on the population of major U.S. cities from a government. The data cleaning process, source one. From the comprehensive data on each play from the 2023 season, we calculated various statistics using .apply and lambda function. These statistics include the various ones listed here. As you can see, the code is on the right. For source two, for the government source, we first defined a list of NFL teams, their corresponding cities. We then extracted the city names from each team using their regular expressions and appended them to the cities list. We then tied these cities to a separate list containing the NFL team name. We then iterated through the JSON data and found the. For source 3 and 4, our process is fairly simple. We essentially use the basic beautiful soup methods to extract a table containing the cap space and average age for NFL team. And lastly, we wanted to go above and beyond by incorporating one last downloadable data set with which we use the 2 CSV to extract aggregate data on NFL offenses.
Hey, it's Hampton, and I'll be taking over for the data analysis, insights, and visuals section. Our first insight, we wanted to attempt to either confirm or refute the claim that the more penalties a team has, the less productive their offense will be. We did this first by sorting all 32 NFL teams into categories based on how many points each team scored in the most recent season, and then calculated the average number of total penalties divided by the average number of total plays. This is because we didn't want to just use the total number of penalties, because this could be also correlated to the number of plays, which we draw a connection to later on in our project. So we divided it by total number of penalties to factor that out. And unexpectedly, penalties did not increase or decrease the offensive productivity. The two variables were unrelated, which is typically unexpected. For the second insight, we wanted to draw a more unorthodox connection. So we decided to tie the total team turnovers and the percentage of high blood pressure adults in that respective city. As you guys probably know, your favorite sports team making a blunder is a very stressful event. So we decided to see if that turnovers in NFL teams actually had a correlation to the blood pressure or stress in their citizens. Funnily enough, we actually did see a statistically significant correlation between the two variables, showing that high blood pressure and turnovers in the NFL teams are correlated. The third insight, there are many we wanted to see how different NFL offenses corresponded to offensive success. For the purposes of this, we dumbed it down to just shotgun versus under center and no huddle versus huddle. We wanted to see if either of these styles resulted in greater offensive production, so we used a spreadsheet of data on every play in the 2023 NFL season to see which teams trended more towards certain formations. Using this information, we compared it to our standard metric of measuring offensive performance. And because we wanted to mix things up, instead of just grouping the teams into categories like we did in Inside 1, we used correlation coefficients to determine the relationships. And interestingly enough, formations did not play a hand in offensive success. So there's really no one way to go about running an NFL offense. Any way works. It's not directly tied to offensive success. We decided to take the mismatch from this past data set to and make a visualization from it. Show the lack of correlation, as you can see here. We used a radar chart to attempt to see if there's any correlation. As you can see, there's really not much. The fourth insight, we decided to see if more experienced players on a roster led to greater offensive production. Surprisingly, the average age and a higher average age on an NFL roster did lead to higher offensive production, which corresponds to the theory that more experienced players would perform better. We decided to also put this into a data visualization, this time being a bar chart, comparing the average, comparing the teams with the highest offensive performance against the average for the league. As you can see, strong offensive teams performed above average, or have average ages greater than the mean. For the fifth insight, we wanted to see if the total number of plays led to higher scoring and a more effective offense. As we expected, a higher amount of plays, which led to higher scoring opportunities, ultimately corresponded to a higher offensive output. As you can see with our third data visualization, which is a scatter plot showing the not incredibly strong but statistically significant upward trend that tie the number of plays to the total points for NFL offenses. Results. In conclusion, so our tangible results and correlations we were able to draw greatly exceeded our expectations going in. Not only were we able to reaffirm connections that are heavily discussed, such as the plays to points for, but also we were able to draw new correlations that are rarely mentioned by fans and analysts alike. This success has only invigorated our interest on the topic of data analytics. In conclusion, this project was incredibly useful in adding to our breadth of knowledge in Pandas, Beautiful Soup, and of course, data visualization. For Pandas and Beautiful Soup, scraping data outside of a class setting forced us to use unorthodox functions and methods, and our standard methods failed, such as eval, reset index, and duplicated. Unsurprisingly, though, the areas where we grew the most in were exploring the intricacies of data visualization. Where our brief overview in class served as a fine introduction, this project really forced us to dig deeper in an effort to create trend lines, change colors, add footnotes, and really express our creativity in creating these complex visuals. Ultimately, we are grateful for the opportunity to create this project and truly do feel that it has helped us fully flesh out our skill set in data analytics. Thank you.
Goodbye.